Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Farmer Nash. I'm here with two very special guests. So, gentlemen, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us who you are, tell us a little bit about your project, and let's get into some things.
Yeah,
I'm happy to.
beautiful. Do you want to jump in?
I'll jump in first as you're more the man of the hour, so I can give the small intro and then you can take it away. My name is Mandragoran or Mandra. I'm one of the community managers for the OreOreOre project. I started out as a kind of passionate collector early this year, and kind of things progressed from there. I got quite enveloped and absorbed in the community and the direction of the project, and put my hand up to be a moderator, put through, I guess you could say, like a Web3 resume of sorts. Was lucky enough to get chosen, and through I guess hard work, effort, and just genuine recognition from the team, have ended up with an official team member role in recent months, and I've just really been enjoying being able to have a bit more of an impact on kind of the direction of the project and how it all moves.
Yeah, and I'm OreOreOre, the illustrator and artist of the OreMOB project and of the OG pieces. I came into the space actually we're just celebrating the anniversary of us spending a year in the Cardano space. I think it's like
Wow.
3 or 4 days ago. Yeah, we started in October last year. With releasing 30 pieces of my one-of-ones that I accumulated over the years as an Instagram artist. And yeah, the reception was quite something, to be honest. And from there on out, it's been thriving. And um, in the moment that we realized what kind of a potential the Cardano community has, as in speaking involvement and dedication, also creativity. We wanted to basically build a community project with, of course, like our dedication and love for anime, manga, but to also make it appear like a mob, gang kind of situation where, yeah, values are being pushed into Web3, like family, unity, and togetherness, creativity, all that stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's where we are at this point.
Yeah, it's like a brotherhood or sisterhood. You guys are kind of bringing people together. It's like that whole mentality. Now, before we get into more about your project, which is OreMob, why are you guys not doxed? I'm talking here the two pictures on my screen. I'm literally in the metaverse right now. So, just real quick, is it for privacy? Is it for other reasons? Go ahead and let me know.
Maybe I'll take this question. Well, we are partially doxed. For example, on our website, my name is being shown, my proper name, um, as well as at this point, I feel like my pretty much the artistic brand that I've built up over the years, which I've been pretty much applying to full on at this point, at the like pretty much every aspect of this Cardano project, um, is quite a lot of value that I'm putting in there, and I'm putting pretty much everything in that, which yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm sorry.
You're good. You're
I'm
good. And Mandra, what about you?
No stress, Ore. Um, Similar to Ore, I'm doxed to the inner circle of the OREMOB community. It wasn't until recently that I realized I would actually have more of an actual career within the space. And I have been planning to dox to more and more of the community quite quickly. It is kind of 7 a.m. here. I haven't really slept, but I'm happy to hop on hop on the video for a few seconds there if you want to say a little bit of a hello. Like I'm not too stressed with that, and I'm happy for the my name to follow up in kind of full doxing in coming weeks to months. We'll
Okay.
see how I go.
Awesome. So you're kind of like slowly doxing over time. I think that's an approach that a lot of people. Oh, There we go.
There we go.
All right, ladies
There
and
we go.
gentlemen, we're getting a sneak peek right now of
I don't
Mandra.
know if the lighting is pretty cooked. Who knows? There we go.
I like the plant action.
So
Yeah, it's everyone catches me at 5, 6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh
But
man.
yeah.
yes. Hello.
To be honest, I don't think there's anyone else that looks that energized at 7 in the morning when he hasn't slept. Yeah. As
Yeah,
we
in
are,
relation
sorry.
in relation to the doxing aspect of things, yeah, initially I didn't see myself having necessarily an official career. So it was more about privacy surrounding where I live and kind of the fast-paced nature of crypto and NFTs in general. But in terms of like how deep I found myself within the Cardano ecosystem, and now more and more so the OreMOB, as really like that mob and that family mentality, I've been getting more and more comfortable with the idea of more people knowing who I am on a more intimate level. So yeah, I guess there's my face, and more than happy to kind of fully dox in the coming weeks and months.
Awesome. Well, guys, it is official. I'm no longer in the metaverse. I am talking to real human beings. So we're gonna go ahead and carry on. Once again, thanks for that, docs. I'm sure a lot of the community will appreciate it, and I'm sure you'll get more comfortable with it as time goes on. What I find out is that most of the time, people kind of just want to put like a face to your name, stuff like that, and they're not ever gonna do anything bad unless you like rug a project or something like that. So, yeah. So go ahead and tell me a little bit about OreMob. You know, what is it? Why did you guys start it, and a little bit about what the NFTs do, or if they're just artwork, stuff like that.
Yeah, just real quick. I'm gonna dox myself too, so you have a good feeling.
Woo!
But I would have to ask you to cut it out because I'm gonna tell you, like, I'm gonna show you exactly why it's important to not be doxed like this, because like I've been pretty much running on 4 hours of sleep every night, working 16 hours a day.
You
So
know,
this is me.
you know what's crazy is that I have a picture over your. Oh, everyone's doxing right now. Let's go, boys! But I have a picture over your profile right now. So literally, you could just see like your T-shirt. So it's perfect. I'm gonna make it a little smaller to give tease people a little bit. There you go,
Yeah,
guys. And then, feel free to leave it on, take it off, whatever you guys want to do. But yeah, go ahead and tell me a little bit about the project.
do you want to, or should I? I guess I'm gonna make the artistic rambling, and then Mandra's gonna go in there with like hard facts and perfectly structured explanations. So, yeah, as previously mentioned, we came into the space like pretty much just having a one-of-one project, having a pure artistic situation going on, with selling the pieces that I drew over the years. I have a good friend who I used to have a clothing company with, um, who does amazing CG stuff.
Yeah.
And we wanted to kind of make this, evoke this feeling that I'm trying to put into the works that I do, which is like put a lot of dedication and kind of trying to express a vibe rather than something you can see. I want you to feel it in a way, and I want you to look at a piece and not see it only as art, but as something you want to have, or something that you personally can connect with, something you can get lost in, like a very simple process, a very simple thing that you enjoy doing, and you would like to do it over and over and over again. And that's kind of what I felt in the moment when I saw his CG pieces, because usually they do a little thing like a spin
Yeah.
or an animation, and I still catch myself, like we recently released a charm ring, and I still catch myself looking over these videos again and again and again and again. And so we had this idea going into the space of putting value to an art piece through a casing, and at the same time making the casing part of the art piece itself. And
What do you mean
that
by a casing?
So the OGs that we brought out are all encased within a very special casing, which we designed together. which kind of have the appearance of like collectible grading cards or card casings.
Okay.
Kind of gives you basic information about the condition it's in, about the rarity of it, and stuff like this.
Yeah.
But to also kind of make it separate from just an art piece, but to instantly invoke the idea of making it a collector's item as well. And for me, being the artist, it is very important for me to put something on paper that kind of has a narrative, something that you can kind of think of. And yeah, man, I'm losing my words right now. I'm really sorry.
I'm happy to
Yeah.
hop in there.
Yeah,
As somebody who has been collecting Ore's pieces for quite some time now, when he talks about kind of the narrative with the OG pieces, again with the anime and manga theme, a lot of the pieces they're either, we like to call them originals, so an Ore
I like
original,
that. Yeah,
if it hasn't been inspired by a specific anime in terms of it's not a character that pre-exists, or quite often will come from like a 90s or Y2K kind of era of anime. But essentially, a lot of them are pictured in a state of kind of battle or conflict, or just post-battle or conflict. So there's lots of scars, there's lots of wounds, injuries, and essentially when you look at it, whilst you know, the old cliche of a picture tells 1,000 words, but with these ones and with the, you know, the casing, which brings that 3D element, for me personally, as like I've always been like an avid medieval fantasy reader, so for me it's a lot more than 1,000 words, and kind of each piece has a character that jumps out, and I personally can just go and write a story of, you know, what may have happened to that character, whether I've seen them in an anime or not. Um, and you know, it's almost like a whole manga chapter can be written, or a whole novel can be written, and that's kind of what really sucked me in relation to the pieces. I
Yeah.
remember
So,
seeing the
quick question, real quick. So OreMob is going to be strictly an art collection, correct?
no. Something that he touched on there a few moments ago is that the pieces that exist at the moment, the OG pieces,
Mm-hmm.
which come in a casing, which is kind of similar to what people have been utilizing for casing and grading for, say, baseball cards and collectibles for decades. We actually have a company that's already kind of up and running in the initial phases or stages at the moment, that also runs as a part of this project called Encased, and that's Encased.
Nice.
And we are looking at creating, as a separate NFT, a grading or a digital casing grading company that will be kind of pioneering and space leading, beginning on Cardano, but much like yourself, looking to be cross-chain and utilizing smart contract capabilities
So what does a
into
case
the
do?
future.
Like,
So
you know, you make a case. What exactly does it do?
basically the idea of the Encased company is to have utilities, for example, to have basic and very important informations that would be interesting for holders. For example, how many times has my piece changed hands, but also to treat a casing as part of the artwork, or as part of a representation of what the project can be, and to have that breathe through in every facet of it. I think that would be an aspiration that we are trying to chase. For example, for this PFP collection that we put out, we have some goals with this PFP collection that is closely tied to a pen and paper campaign.
Mm-hmm.
At least that would be really cool to execute once it is out. So we want to have this casing for the PFP collection, which people will have the possibility to encase one of their PFPs, one of their OREMOB PFPs into a casing, which will in turn have the possibility to to act as a kind of a character sheet, if you're familiar with D&D and pen and paper. So there is going to be some emblems, for example, to be earned, or some stats that you can exchange on this casing to choose yourself what you want to be shown, and at the same time to have a casing which is a very, very high complementary to the art, as well as to the story focus and the lore focus that we are trying to put forward. And that's what we want to push forward to other projects. That's why we would love to start out with this Encased company, to give other projects the possibility of bringing their product to another level. We are currently in the works with an NMaker project as well, to work on a kind of a casing situation with them, and the process is quite fruitful and quite fun.
Nice.
To be creative together like this. It's also about like making some cool stuff together, cooperating, stuff like this.
In terms of some of the other just basic aspects of what it will do, as smart contract capabilities kind of evolve, because obviously Cardano is still making its way kind of step by step through its roadmap, and we're kind of awaiting for things to kind of kick into gear with what can really be done. So obviously we're in our infancy in terms of adoption, but also capability. And it's not that the chain itself lacks, but it's more that it said, hey, that's just not the step we're up to just yet. But as those capabilities evolve, we're looking for the Encased company to evolve in its kind of tracking ability for collections, and also, I guess, the data scraping and what it can do with that. So as Ore was saying, some basic aspects of like how many times has my piece traded hands, but it's like it would also include how many times has it been traded or changed wallets officially through a marketplace? How many times has it done so unofficially? So it's kind of like a baseball card, for instance. If it was graded, you would then want to know what it was graded, but also the reasons why it was graded at a certain point are based off of its physical condition, number of owners, and such. And obviously, as he was talking about, the case itself will have some aesthetic elements and aesthetic upgrades. For instance, the PFP project that we are releasing, which will be the I guess you could say the flagship for the Encased company. It'll be really showing it off. Those PFPs, through an artistic style choice, they don't include shadows or shadowing on the 10K collection. And that was something that the community in the parts of the inner circle questioned and asked. They said, can it be done? Would it look better? And we looked at it. We discussed with Ore. I even saw a few examples where shading was toggled on. Personally, I thought it took quite a lot from what he was trying to convey artistically. But what we are looking at is just a basic kind of feature of the Encased casing would be that you can potentially toggle on and off some basic features like shadows. So some people may have that preference, and that's something that they can kind of toy or play around with.
Okay, so I like the idea, but we definitely got to work on the pitch for the future. So basically, your casings are going to be kind of like an addition to an NFT, where you can basically like toggle things on and off. You can maybe change some stuff or interact with it in real time, kind of like that.
Yes, whilst also providing a grading system. So a piece wouldn't just have its rank within its specific collection. It would have like a separate grading provided by the data.
Okay, got it. And then, so I just want to say something real quick. So from what it seems like is that Ore is very focused on art, and also the kind of the future, we'll say, utility is going to be around the casings, right? Now the casings, they do have the rarity and things, but it's also kind of complementing the art in a sense. So one thing I want to say is that I think if I'm going to buy an Ore, I'm going to buy it because I support more of the art, and the potential uses of this casing to even improve other collections' art later on. And I think people have this weird thing where they think that art projects aren't good for some reason. But I do want to say that, Da Vinci doesn't need utility, if that makes sense. He's an artist, and that's what he is. So if you're kind of giving people's expectations that, this is an art project, then I'm sure you're going to have an audience for that. If you're giving them expectations that, you have some crazy utility that's going to give you access to all these features, everything like that, they're going to change their expectations. So I think you guys need to kind of think about, is your project more of an art project, or is it more focused on the utility of improving your art and other projects' art? Because this is definitely something like the wrappers, something that people can use over time. I think a lot of projects are kind of scared to say they're art projects, but there's nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, like I said, Da Vinci, he doesn't need utility. So I really like kind of the route you guys are taking, but I think maybe think of the casings as something a little separate. Unless it's going to be very closely tied in with Ore, then keep it that way. But I do want to talk about the collection's art. So I remember you guys were kind of ready to launch, ready to get your project out there, and then it got delayed. Can you tell me a little bit about the delay? How long has it been, and why did it get delayed?
I'm happy to chime in there. In relation to the delay, funnily enough, it was largely in part due to the art. In the weeks kind of leading up to the release date, which was the end of October not October, the end of August originally, we were having quite a lot of in-depth discussion with our inner circle. We have an inner circle called the Burnophone Mob, that individuals whom have kind of collected pieces for a significant period of time and have purchased an NFT that has 100% royalties, can't be traded or passed to other people, which gives them specific access to the team, access to specific kind of, I guess you could say, hidden areas, hidden rooms, chats, and quite a few other aspects in terms of early access to merch, discounts,
So
airdrops.
only like true fans would really buy that, correct? This is for like
Yes.
the real fans. Okay, cool.
And
Got it.
there is a vetting process with that as well.
Oh,
So
nice.
to begin with, you have to own an OG, which to begin they minted at 499 ADA, and they now trade for 6,000 ADA is the floor for the larger collections,
Wow.
and the smaller collections, which are the OG 30 and the Demon Drop collections, have a floor of 20,000 and 0 for sale for the other collection. So in terms
Wow.
of high quality, low mint, one of one artworks, I can quite confidently say, as both a collector and a team member, we are already S plus tier in that respect. But we did fumble the ball in the lead up to our mint for our PFP. And I know I got a little bit distracted there from your original question, but that was largely in part that Ore and the team, we got quite excited about some potential significant upgrades that we could make to the collection in the lead up to the mint date. And really, and this is something we've discussed a little bit, more than happy to go into again here, is that we kind of got bullheaded, laser focused, and we really pushed kind of the razor's edge, thinking that we could just, work more, work harder, less sleep, more caffeine, and just get it done. And the closer and closer we got to the mint, the less healthy all of our sleep hygiene was. And I guess
People
you
don't
could say like
realize how hard it is to actually make an NFT collection that's not very basic. There's a lot of thought and a lot of traits and intricacies that go into it. And then even when you're finished, it's so weird. You think like you stick to your guidelines, everything, and just the layering on it gets messed up. And there's so much stuff that goes into it that people don't even know.
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Like I would love to touch on that later, but I'm gonna let you finish.
Oh, for sure. And I can definitely lead you in with that. But essentially, we had some upgrades to the collection in terms of aesthetics, some new pieces in terms of factions were included. A portion, 30 to 40% of the 10K pieces, part of their metadata and part of their aesthetics will be that they belong to a faction, one of 13 factions within the mob, which will help to denote kind of where an individual, depending on their collection, will end up within the mob, their kind of allegiances, and also depending on the pieces and how many they hold, their position within the hierarchy. And some of these aspects got added realistically too close to the mint date. And if we were being more honest to ourselves and more honest to the broader community, we probably would have said, hey guys, we've got some more things we want to add. We need another 4 to 8 weeks to give you an upgraded, incredible product. Like, it was already top notch, and the effort that Ore had put in was just above and beyond. But he has actually taken it to a whole nother level. But as a result of, as I said, we kind of lasered in, and we just kept pushing and pushing. And we had a couple of delays within a short time period, including one where kind of a technical aspect, due to how short we gave the time for the delay, allowed for a couple of pieces to be minted, which shouldn't have. And we ended up, obviously we got the mint fully paused and we burnt all of the pieces. And then there'll be a whole new policy ID and obviously a new separate collection there. So that was the end of August. And just in the last 48 hours, we have announced our official mint date as the 25th and 26th of October.
Awesome. Got it. And so am I able to mint, or do you have to be on a whitelist, or how exactly does that work?
There is a whitelist, which will be looking at including airdropped pieces. So for each OG you hold, or a burner phone, you get a single airdropped piece, which comes to, off the top of my head, we've got 254 OGs now, so that's 254 airdropped. And then we have an airdrop for the burner phones, which is about another 65 to 75.
Okay, so
And
barely any whitelists have been given out so far, correct?
essentially, yes. In
Okay,
total,
cool.
we have 2,000 will be in the standard whitelist. We then have a separate whitelist for the burner phone mob, who will be able to mint amongst themselves from, I guess you could say, like a separate pool for anywhere between kind of 12 to 24 hours, up to a total of 1,500 NFTs on top of the standard 2,000 whitelist. So best case scenario, if every piece were to be minted by whitelist and the burner phone mob whitelist, we'd be going to public with approximately 6,500 NFTs.
Okay, awesome. And then, Ore, why don't you go ahead and talk about the art, because there was a delay for the upgrade. So why don't you tell us kind of what was actually going on behind the scenes? Because I know a lot of people were getting a little antsy when it came to getting their NFT from you guys. They really wanted it.
Well, first of all, that's a good sign. Yeah, the point that you just touched on about a 10K collection being a lot of work is definitely something that I can resonate with, especially because it is a super fun process. First of all, it's extremely interesting to make, and a very different approach to what I would usually do with my pieces. So first of all, there's the aspect with the generative code, which basically gives away control from the artist about what he wants to express and how he wants them to be expressed. Like, the randomized factor is a huge upside, and also a huge thing that that I had to get used to as well, because what I wanted for this collection to happen is to make it very personal, to give every piece a certain kind of personality and an expression that would make it a unique thing out of
Yeah.
10,000.
And you can't pick which personality they get, so it can be mixed and matched, huh? Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, that's the point, because you can. It's just insanely
Oh.
It's just an
Oh.
insane amount of work.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was kind of like, I think the focus that we put that we evolved this project around, and this 10K collection around, had us or forced us to basically adapt around this, to have a different approach. So the first idea, or the first thing that I had for making this project something unique, something personal, was to draw every trade on paper with ink, with actual ink,
Mm.
which gets scanned and then gets into the generative process later. There's like very interesting paper that I used for that, which I
Yeah.
inherited from my grandpa, which is a funny story, but it's not
Wow.
directly connected to this. But it's super old paper, and like this is just a fascination with how the ink flows, and how like lines can be a little bit shaky, and how there can be a lot of personality in just the stroke, not counting the colors, not counting the shapes, but in the strokes themselves, and to kind of translate a certain personality out of something that's been in a generative code and come out the other way as something different, is an extremely exciting process. And um, as far as workflow and ideas go, the further you dive into something like this, the more ideas will come up during the process of it happening.
Yeah, of course.
So um, we made the distinct decision to take a lot of control from the code at first, and to give me permission to actually select, to have a high selective power over the pieces that are going to be chosen for this 10K. So what we essentially did was we generated 170,000 pieces, and I
Jeez.
handpicked 10,000 out of those. So
You
it is possible.
handpicked 10. So you handpicked 10,000.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
So,
guys, I guess we figured out why there was a delay. But I mean,
so
hey,
it,
He is
I just want to say real
he
quick,
under.
yeah,
I'll let you speak for
to
a
the
second.
audience, I can tell that Ore really cares about his art, right? He started out as kind of more of a one-on-one. He was doing very smaller collections, even as small as like 30 for the OGs, the people that really support him. And he took the time to handpick 10,000 pieces out of his collection. So you could tell that, there's an artist that really cares about his work. He doesn't really want to put anything out unless he really thinks it's the best he can produce. So I just want to say that, and then go ahead and continue.
thanks. Well, I don't want to overstate it. It might have been just 130,000, 140,000, something like this. I don't want to go
It's still a
over the
lot.
number.
It's
That's not
still a
right.
lot.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a large process, and we had to kind of condition it in order to not not lose focus on like what do you want to express with this collection. So that was this first part, and then of course through the handpicked process, there was a lot of control taken away from the code, which usually gives you a huge oversight over the collection, which is incredibly valuable. For example, talking rarity in this case, you can just tell the code to say like, I want this trade and this trade and this trade to appear only this many times, and this is how we're going to count rarity, and it's going to be neatly and tidily produced like this, and the trade is going to appear exactly that often, and it's going to be having this oversight. So what we wanted to do was kind of to have a different trade weighting process, where I choose a trade based on how it also looks in combination, how it looks in the color contrast, how it pops off, if it has a different kind of sword that is not as detailed, but it looks really good with the t-shirt. I kind of want that to be noticed. I kind of want that piece to hold a certain value to. So we implemented quite a lot, and as time passed on, we introduced the 13 factions that we added to the collection, which gives a whole new lore factor to this gang structure of 10K, and every faction has a boss, which will
Oh,
be
nice.
one of one. So there are 13 one of ones which are mintable in this collection, and they're the mob bosses of these different factions. And what's also notable to this collection is that about 60% is not in a faction. And what we wanted to do with that is to give the community a possibility to potentially make something potentially a faction, which will be added on in a potential later drop, which will be fully fleshed out with a new boss, with a new kind of thing, what they are about, with a goal, with a strive, something like this, and to make this collection something the community can participate in and write their own storyline.
Real quick,
The
are the
yeah.
so are the bosses going to be kind of like core community pillars, or are they just going to be like random? Will they have any sort of perks to be a boss, because they are the one of ones? So
Yeah, the bosses do play a huge role in the lore of the whole situation. We had one of the bosses come alive in the summer. No, I think this year in the early summer, um, for an exclusive burner phone mob event where people could chat with him to have a have the potential to mint an airdrop. And then they actually had a conversation with another boss to solve a riddle in order to get that boss airdrop
nice.
um, to their wallet. And what we want to do for this is to kind of give people a universe where they can kind of where they know boundaries, where they know stuff is happening around them, but they kind of have the potential to make their own story. Kind of like
Yeah.
a guild in World of Warcraft, where you have like all this stuff happening around you, but you kind of make these guilds, you make these raids, you come together, you plan, you make an infrastructure, and that idea is incredibly potent and fruitful, I think, and that's what I want to focus on in the future as well.
Awesome. So I want to say, let's say it's 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, and everything goes perfectly, right? So OreMob is like, you guys sold out. You guys are the number one collection. Everything's going perfectly. What does the project look like at that time?
Um, Sorry, I'm just gonna give my 2 cents and then I'll be over with that. So what is also very important to note is that myself, Ro, my partner in this project, and myself, we both come from a background where we have been in a certain kind of industry for a long time and have ties to real world contacts, which we are aiming to bring into the Cardano space, into the NFT space, into the Web3 space, and to also reach out and build bridges in that regard. We have a very good connection to Zabukaru magazine, who is kind of a lifestyle brand, a magazine in Tokyo, with hip hop influences, street style.
Yeah.
They pretty much have something going on every day and bring people together, and that's also something that we would like to see for the future, to be as interconnected as possible, to bring more and more people into the Cardano space, into the NFT space, and to kind of have these benefits that both worlds do have, and to share them in a way. Like, I'm absolutely sorry about this botched delivery.
No, you're good.
I think the passion really flows through in that respect. And in terms of you talk about timeframes there, like 5 years, that's a time frame that's not lost on me, because in terms of NFT time, 5 years is not a timeline that many projects, I think, can even afford to think in. I think we are in a position where we bring the quality and we have the vision and already the team structure that allows for that type of time frame. In terms of the connections that Ore was mentioning in relation to kind of the subcultures that kind of look into the Japanese streetwear. Obviously, we've got anime and manga ties, but the streetwear is a massive one that we're really looking to penetrate. We have some inroads there, things that we can't necessarily discuss right now, but we do have a business relationship with an individual, Mr. Bianco, or Bianco, who has that's already been very fruitful in terms of we've had multiple articles written. We have some collaborations coming up in terms of
Awesome.
real world utility. But at the same time, because we're still launching our actual NFT project, we don't want to kind of dilute that by talking too much about the other things that are coming up quite soon. But personally, as a team member, but also somebody who aims to curate quite the collection, I can't wait to not only rep the OREMOB within the Cardano ecosystem, but also in everyday life. I already wear my hoodie quite frequently, but the idea is to become essentially a household brand in terms of really high quality streetwear, ranging from bomber jackets, denim, hoodies, potentially sneakers. Ore collects, has quite the sneaker collection. He and I won't pretend to be deep into kind of those subcultures personally myself, but I was an avid basketballer growing up, so I can definitely appreciate a nice pair of Jordans. Um,
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, the idea of being a household name brand, and if you want to talk 5 years, we're looking at the level of something like Supreme in terms of how well known
Hmm.
and how widespread.
Yeah, I used to love Supreme. I would always wake up every Thursday to try to get the drops. I'd resell. I would keep some stuff. Not too much into it now since they like sold a lot of the company and I don't like it. But I know what you mean, right? Streetwear culture is so they're tight knit and there's a lot of people that love streetwear in every country. So yeah, I mean that's a major kind of niche market. And I want to talk to you about the actual NFT. So we were talking about streetwear and maybe some real life utility. What perks are the holders of the Ore mob going to obtain? Or were they just beginning the art piece?
That's where, to begin with, the Encased company becomes part of that utility.
Okay, yeah. So
We
the
are
cases.
registered. We are registered as a business out of Germany, so we're not going to initially go down kind of the launch a token and um, basic DAO in the initial phases, because that's as we're seeing right now in real time with Yuga Labs, that's like regulatory hot
Yeah.
water. And whilst the regulations are unclear, that's something that at least initially we'll be steering clear from. But we do have our eyes on that as things evolve, especially in terms of the PFP holders, whom will be receiving the encased pieces for free, whereas as a curated service that will be providing to other services, to other collections, that'd be something that comes at a cost. And down the track, looking for ways for that to feed back into the owners of the PFPs in terms of percentages. When you look at like essentially microtransactions, when the growth of the ecosystem has been significant, but before it becomes tokenized, um, it could look to have significant kickbacks in terms of whitelist options or premium options for those collections that we'll be encasing.
Awesome. So why is Ore on Cardano rather than Ethereum, right? Do you guys plan to take advantage of any of the tech or is it more just for the community? Can you tell me a little bit about why you're on ADA?
That was mostly out of environmental reasons in the beginning. So I was eager to dive into new tech and the possibilities that come with NFTs, and to build a community in that space has proven as quite the right decision. Um, but as the whole debate around the art space broke out in 2021, it became kind of hard to get an opinion through in terms of, are you with or are you without NFTs, or are you something in between? Pretty much there was no in between. Either you were like dead hating it, or you were on board. And what I found interesting was that most people were using the environmental aspect as pretty much a reason for saying like NFTs are bad. Look at what they're doing to the environment. Look at what blockchains are doing to the environment.
Yeah.
When you just had to do a little bit of research and find out that there are proof of stake networks that have a incredibly low in energy consumption, and you can still dive into new prospects, new possibilities to connect with very, very little environmental damage done.
Pretty
And that
much,
was
ETH, ETH and Bitcoin were the only ones producing like a substantial amount of, we'll say, like energy consumption. And I mean, Ethereum just reduced it by like 99.8% or something with their proof of stake. Bitcoin is still pretty tough. I'm going to say they use a lot of energy, more than some countries. But yeah, Cardano uses very little energy consumption. So it's important to a lot of people.
Yeah, they've been doing it for quite some time. So diving into this community also showed that it's full of people who care. It's like a certain space with personality that people are not only collaborating with each other but supporting each other. It's a much more personal space in my opinion. And probably or maybe that's why our project has been popping off like this, because yeah, it found the right people. And it's only a speculative thing because we didn't go to another blockchain and tried it out there. But I'd say we did the right decision.
Nice.
And similar to a lot of kind of anime and manga character or story arcs, Cardano is kind of similar to a lot of the protagonists that you find there as well. And I think that we have kind of
Yeah.
gone down that path as a mob as well. You know, you've got that underdog story that, you know, there was at least at times, you know, a good chance that they weren't necessarily going to make it. And not through plot armor or the whole Mary Sue aspect, but, you know, Cardano are looking quite good, in my opinion, in terms of being one of the top players in blockchain in the next 3 to 5 years. And in my opinion, for NFTs to really take off as I think they should, I hope that Ethereum and Cardano can really thrive together. And I think once they both feel potentially more secure within their respective positions, and with their, you know, their code and everything being more fleshed out, that further collaboration and real cross-chain action can allow things to explode in the ways that they should. Because it's pretty hard to ask for mass adoption when any of your friends or family members can talk to you know, 3 or 4 different people that may hold crypto, and they'll get told that, you know, 3/4 of the ones that the other people hold are a scam.
Yeah, and you're right. That's
Or a
because they
Ponzi.
are.
Yeah, but at the same time, some of them aren't, and some of them
Yeah.
are just extreme tribalism. And you know, I personally think that Cardano is, as I said, looking really good in terms of where it's going for the future. And in the past, I haven't thought that Ethereum necessarily was. I have a family member who's a very talented dev. He was ICO Ethereum, and he's kind of been ear to the ground in that respect for years. And he's extremely bullish on both Ethereum and Cardano and what they can both do from a tech perspective. So that's I'm really hoping for more of that. And obviously, there's other projects that will emerge, but I guess they've got to survive a couple more cycles to earn their
Yeah.
stripes, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. And I will say, I mean, Cardano's already pretty large. I think, and I'm not sure if this is the exact statistic, but when I think of the top NFT chains, I think of number 1 is Ethereum, number 2 is Solana, and then I think actually Axie Infinity's Ronin is doing more transactions for NFTs in Cardano. I'm not sure. And I think Cardano is kind of like my number 3 or 4 blockchain for NFTs as of right now. So they're already doing pretty well, but it's exciting to see kind of what's going to happen in the near future. Are they going to maybe take the spot of number 2? Are they going to maybe even surpass ETH one day? Or are they just going to be like kind of different, you know, different where you go to Cardano for this and you go to ETH for that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. So I want to toss this over to Ore. A lot of people really love NFT art, right? They came over from maybe physical art and they kind of switch to NFTs or they collect both. What's it like making art for a one of one collection versus more of kind of a 10K PFP collection?
I think the most important thing about both of those things is that I want to put a personality in both, and that's why I'm here. I'm on 4 hours of sleep a day because to put a focus into 10,000 art pieces, um, and to really have a dedication to give them something special that kind of you can look at and say like, well, that looks like it's been drawn, or that looks like it's been generated, but in a specific kind of way. And yeah, this is like there are some implementations that we did for the 10K, which are their own thing in a way. Like you can reach a certain kind of personality through a one of one piece, and you can reach it through a 10K piece, which has been partly touched by a generative code. It's just a different approach, I'd say. Like for example, we have from the 13 factions, we have 5 elite factions. Or basically we have an elite section of certain factions, which are like the top of the top. And what we did for those is we ordered some real life stamps with the faction logo, because this collection is actually quite inspired by ukiyo-e, Japanese wood print, as well as being kind of the hot pot of like every inspiration and influence tying manga together, tying anime together, tying
Yeah.
street culture together. And this time, like, I thought it would be really interesting to tie like ukiyo-e as well, and Japanese screen printing in there. So it would be like just on a brand kind of to use a stamp, to have a unique stamp that it has only been there once, for the elite kind of PFPs, which are about 500. So like there is a way to implement personality and something special into a huge number of collections. And it's just yeah, it's basically that in its own right. And I've been sitting here stamping 500 stamps on paper,
Oh
and
man.
then pretty much scanning them in and putting them onto the piece to give them that special kind of thing, to walk the extra mile to do that thing. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna need some alpha here from you guys right now. I see some of the pieces on your website. They have weapons, right? Some of them have swords. There's a few different types. Can you give me any alpha on, are these weapons ever gonna do anything? Are they gonna mean anything in the future? Do all of the collection have weapons? Stuff like that.
Do they all have weapons? Like, does every PFP have a weapon?
Yes.
No, the weapons are what is, I think, what is most rare, or what was my favorite part of the collection, are the masks that
Mm.
we implemented. Of course, there's this fact that we separated, or that I hand selected from 10,000 pieces, from 100,000 pieces, but there's also the fact that we have over 500 individual traits, and we implemented a strategy in which we can basically have 2 layers of clothing at the same time, which says like layering, which is a very, very big influence for me, for like Japanese streetwear from the 2000s. And we have over about 670 different clothing combinations between layer 1 and layer 2.
Damn.
Clothing, stuff like this. But yeah, the masks, we have 80 unique different masks in there, which all are tied to a certain storyline and a place in the lore and a place in the factions, and have their own kind of way in a lore. Utility wise, there's not much tied to this, but we can definitely have a conversation about that in the future.
One
Awesome.
thing I would chime in with in relation to potential usage of something, say like a weapon, that can very easily and quickly be tied in with our D&D campaigns. For instance, if an individual wished to utilize a certain PFP that they owned as their specific character for a D&D campaign, it could be incorporated into that character's stats in terms of the type of weaponry that it's got. And I don't know if you're too familiar with D&D. You can look at quite intricate aspects of that. So the weapon would have a speed, damage, damage versus certain armor types, and aspects like that. So whilst quite a few don't have weapons, and those that do, I believe from memory it'll be 20% or less. The D&D aspect is something that we're very excited to flesh out, and we have made initial contact with another artist in the space who makes some pretty incredible figurines and dioramas,
Cool.
which is obviously like the cornerstone of D&D as well.
Awesome. All right, and we are getting to the end part of the interview here, and I want to start with you, Mandra. Can you tell me some of your hobbies, maybe outside of Web3? And before we start, I do want to say one thing. If you don't have any hobbies out of Web3, that's totally okay, because a lot of us, like, we just, like, our hobby is Web3. That's like our freaking, like, life right now. So yeah, go ahead and tell me kind of a little bit about some things you like outside of Web3.
Yeah, no stress at all. In terms of aspects that I enjoy outside of Web3, I love and have been heavily involved in martial arts for
Mm.
quite some time. I trained as soon as I left high school. So I'm 30 years old. I'm a early 90s kid. I was quite a chubby, overweight kid in high school. I was always sporty, but just overweight. But as soon as I left high school, I was like, I want to get in shape and I want to learn a martial art. I was really keen on boxing, but there weren't any boxing gyms nearby. So joined up at a kickboxing gym, and it kind of just went from there. I've trained kickboxing and Muay Thai for 6.5 to 7 years.
Damn.
Took a bit of a downturn with obviously all of the lockdowns. But other than that, I've been a self-confessed full-blown gym junkie for near enough 10 years as well. So I gym anywhere between 6 to 10 times a week.
Whoa.
I walk 15 to 25 kilometers a day. In the last couple of years, I have put a lot of focus on meditation, and like I'll meditate daily, anywhere between kind of guided meditation, guided breathing exercises. I'll ensure to have a cold shower every single day for the last 2 years, something again that I started during one of the lockdowns. So I'm really doing my best to juggle kind of the degen lifestyle and passion for being physically fit, active, and healthy. So I also love going kind of camping and hiking. And in coming years, I'd love to do more of that. And likely, go international with it with some of the members from the mob. I've made
Ooh. Yeah.
some fast friends in America, Europe. We're keen to visit Japan together. But yeah, in terms of hobbies, I don't fall into that category of someone who doesn't have too many outside of Web3.
Yeah, there's a lot of us that are like that. And then Ore, some hobbies over on your side?
Um, Drawing is my hobby mostly.
There you go, just
I'm open to
hardcore.
that. Yeah, yeah. I'm actually like, I was just thinking that Mandra just has the perfect complementary lifestyle of being behind a screen for a long, long time to be actually physical fit. And I used to be. I love running. Um, I wanna complete my 5th marathon sometime next year.
Nice.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. Uh, I love my motorcycle. I love driving through the streets of Berlin. But yeah, I also have a screen printing studio that I've been managing for about uh, 6 years now. Um, so pretty much anything creation related stuff is it's just fascinating to me.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, so we are going to close things out here. So Mandra, Ore, why don't you go ahead and basically give everyone a call to action. Where should they follow you? What should they do? And when can they buy an Ore from the collection?
In terms of where to follow us, we have Ore has a pretty wild Instagram as well, under Ore times 3. He has 160,000 organic followers
Wow.
from his, yeah, and that's something that we haven't really touched on, but it's kind of grown since 2016, his inception there, where he just started putting his artworks out there, and just about any piece that you see on his Instagram. And I would highly recommend, not just as a shill, but as anyone who enjoys anime and unique anime lines, and to witness kind of an artist and their evolution, I would suggest hopping into his Instagram, scroll down to the bottom and just slowly scroll up, because you can see the evolution of him as an artist in terms of quality, but also finding his own style and his own line work. And just about any piece that you see there can appear as an Ore OG in these low mint one-of-one collections, and a lot of them already have. We have our actual PFP mint coming up on the 25th and then 26th of October, respectively, for whitelist and public mint. Our 10K collection, much anticipated. Obviously, we hit a roadblock, but we've rebuilt and coming back with a collection that's, an order of magnitude more impressive yet again, which even as a team member, I know it can sound like a shill, but I was a collector long before that, and I hold my OG pieces very dearly.
Definitely. And then Ore?
Yeah, if you want to hang out in the Discord as well, we have a new fitness section in there, managed by Mandra, just to see some
Nice.
people getting motivated and sticking to their goals in relations to fitness is also really important. Yeah, but do check out Instagram, and check out Twitter, and be ready for the mint for sure.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude today's interview. We had the OREMOB team with us. So remember to pick up your Ore on the 25th or 26th. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Remember to also leave a comment for who you want me to interview next. We do people, projects, games. We do anything Web3 related in any chain. So remember to like, subscribe, like, subscribe, like, subscribe.